In this video, we're going to talk about translations and reflections. So our learning target is I can apply translations and reflections in the coordinate plane. The first thing you need to know is that translations and reflections do not change the size or shape of your figure. The pre-image, which is your original figure, and the image, which will be your new figure, are going to be congruent or equal in size. Translations and reflections do change the location of the figure, so we'll see the figure move in the coordinate plane. A translation is a slide. We can slide vertically up and down and horizontally left and right. A reflection is like a flip over the x or the y axis. It can be like looking into a mirror or flipping a pancake. The shape is going to change direction. So when you're looking at two shapes in the coordinate plane, how can you tell which image is the pre-image and which one is the new or prime image? One thing that will help you be able to distinguish the difference is that the new or prime image will have the prime symbol, which looks like a little dash mark after each point or letter. So in this example above, triangle A prime, B prime, C prime is your new or prime image. The original or pre-image will not have the prime symbol with each point. So in the example above, triangle ABC is our original or pre-image. So now I want to go ahead and take a look at this picture because it says that we did a reflection across the y-axis. So now that I know that this is my original figure, I know that it was flipped across the y-axis. So I'm just going to highlight the y-axis so that it really stands out to us. Remember, Y to the sky. So that's our vertical axis. This triangle ABC was flipped across the y-axis. I can tell because it's in a different direction now. So what would a reflection over the x-axis look like? So I'm going to highlight the x-axis in pink here. And if I were to flip triangle ABC over the x-axis, instead of flipping right to left like before, this would be flipping up to down. So that's going to look something like this if it were to be flipped over the x-axis. Now let's take a look at this picture on the right. It says there was a translation or a slide of 2 units left and 4 units down. So the original or pre-image in this picture is going to be triangle GHI, and the new or prime image is going to be this red triangle G prime, H prime, I prime. And it says that we did a translation 2 units left and 4 units down. So I should be able to start at point G, and if I go 2 units left and 4 units down, I should end up at point G prime. So I'm going to go 2 units left, 1, 2, and 4 units down, 1, 2, 3, 4. And sure enough, I'm now at point G prime. I can do the same for point H. If I move 2 units left and 4 units down, I'll now be at H prime, and it works as well for I. If we go 2 units left and 4 units down, we'll be at I prime. So this question below says, what would a translation of 6 units left and 1 unit up look like? So I just have a copy of my triangle GHI here in blue. If I were to move 6 units left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 unit up, that is what that translation would look like. Let's move on to the next example. It says we're going to plot points A, B, C, and D, and then reflect the image over the y-axis and record the new coordinates. So I want to highlight the y-axis so that really stands out to us since that's what we're going to reflect over. And we need to plot the original points so that we can see what we're reflecting. So it says point A is at -5, -1. So I'm going to take my point A here. You can just take your pencil. I'm going to go to the origin, and if my x value is -5, I'm going to move left 5. And if my y value is -1, that means I'm going to move down 1. I'm going to do the same for point B. It says it's -1, -1. So I'm going to move left 1 and down 1. Point C is at -5, -4. So I'm going to move left 5 and down 4. And point D is at -1, -4. Now I want to reflect this image over the y-axis. So that means each point is going to go across the y-axis, And my new points with the prime mark should be the same distance from the y-axis that the original point was. So for example, I can start at point A and count my distance to the y-axis is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. So that means A prime will just be 5 units in the opposite direction across the y-axis. So I go from the y-axis and I go right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the new location of A prime is positive 5, negative 1. The same for B prime. I notice that point B is 1 unit away from the y-axis. So point B prime is just going to be 1 unit from the y-axis in the opposite direction. Point C, I notice, is in the same x value as A, so it's going to be 5 units from the y-axis, which means C prime is also going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from the y-axis, but just in the opposite direction. The last point D is at negative 1, negative 4. It is 1 unit from the y-axis, so that means D prime is also going to be 1 unit from the y-axis. So our new ordered pairs, B prime is at positive 1, negative 1. C prime is at positive 5, negative 4. And D prime is at positive 1, negative 4. I want you to notice that when we flipped over the y-axis, it was actually our x values that changed signs every time. So negative 5 became positive 5, negative 1 became positive 1. Again, negative 5 became positive 5, and negative 1 became positive 5, or positive 1, excuse me. And our y values all stayed the same. In our next example, we're going to graph the triangle at the coordinates A, B, C and reflect over the y-axis. So I plotted points A, B, C just to save us a little time, and I'm going to highlight the y-axis so I remember where I'm reflecting across, reflecting over. And I'm going to start with point A. I notice that point A is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units to the y-axis. So A prime is just going to be 5 units from the y-axis in the opposite direction. Point B is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units from the y-axis. So I know B prime is going to be 5 units from the y-axis in the opposite direction. Point C is at negative 1, positive 1. It is only 1 unit away from the y-axis. I just have to go right 1 and then I'm on this axis. So C prime is just going to be 1 unit away from the y-axis, but in the opposite direction. So what are the figure's new coordinates? A prime is at positive 5, because we went right 5 and up 5 from the origin. B prime is at positive 5, positive 1. And C prime is at positive 1, positive 1. In our next example, we're going to look at a translation or a slide. So before we do that, let's talk about which direction do you move for a positive vertical move. So remember that word vertical means we're either going to go up or down. So remember positive is when we're going up. The next question on the left-hand side I want you to take a look at just says, which direction do you move for a negative horizontal move? Horizontal, that word, is talking about going left or right. Look back at your number line or your coordinate plane and think about which way are the negatives when we're going left or right. The negatives are to the left. So anytime it talks about a negative horizontal move, we'll be moving left. The next question says, which direction do you move for a negative vertical move? Remember that word vertical means we're either going up or down. So a negative vertical move is when we're going down. And the last question on the left-hand side says, which direction do you move for a positive horizontal move? Remember, horizontal is either left or right, and if we're moving in the positive direction, that's going to be to the right. So now I'm just going to go up to our last example for these notes, and it's going to be our translation. So the directions say translate the following figure plus 5 units vertically and negative 2 units horizontally. Then we're going to shade the new shape and record the new coordinates. So I noticed that I already have the figure in the coordinate plane for me, figure ABCD, and I just need to figure out what the directions are telling me. So it says +5 units vertically. So remember, if it's talking vertical, that means up or down. +5 sounds like positive, so we're going to go up 5. It also says -2 units horizontally. Remember, horizontal is either left or right. Because it says -2, I know that means that we are going left 2. So our directions from each point on the original figure, we're going to go up 5 and left 2 to make our new figure. So let's start with point A. I'm going to take a point. You can just put your pencil at point A. Looks like it's at -3, 1. And we're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 2. 1, 2. And the same for B. Put your pencil on B. We're going to go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then left 2. And the same for C. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 2. And last but not least, D. So there's your new figure, A prime, B prime, C prime, and D prime. So what are your ordered pairs for those new points? So A prime is at -5, +6. B prime is at on that y-axis, so your x value is going to be 0, y value is 6. C prime is also on the y-axis, so it's 0, 3. And D prime is at -5, 3. So that's it for this video. In our next video, we're going to look at what happens when you combine translations and reflections together in the coordinate plane.